Welcome all to the World Doom League Summer 2021 Week 3 finale. I am Xenaero and I'm bringing you Dosu and Friends versus the Superchargers here on the final game of today's 4-game quadruple header. Well, when I'm talking about Dosu and Friends, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a team that has no wins to their record. They do have one loss and one tie. Now, they're up against a pretty formidable team. The Superchargers are coming away with 2 wins so far. One of those wins was done in 2 rounds. And their record is pretty crazy. They have 22 flags for, which means over the last 2 games they've scored 22 flags total. Flags against, they've only had 9. So they have bled less than every other team in this league up to this point. Makes them a top contender for the number 1 seed as we are past the halfway point now in the regular season. This is week 3 out of 5. Now, Dosu and Friends, they have a varied roster. Now, last week we saw Chain as the offensive player. He has 60 touches overall, and of those, he had 8 captures. So, pretty decent conversion rate. Dosu played more of a middle role, while X-Wizard played a defensive role. Is that format going to work out for them here tonight? Well, we'll see as we head on back over the Superchargers. Ralphus, the team captain, typically plays a middle role as so far into his season. K-Blair with a defensive fortitude that is very rarely matched. And we have seen Tiger play so far as the main runner. Now, last week in their game against Domain, we saw... That is not last week. Last week against Deimos Patriots, we saw them play pretty heavily in favor of the mid player, Ralphus, who actually scored 5 points total with 4 pickup captures, cementing his role as a middle powerhouse. Tiger with 28 touches overall. That game, may I remind the audience, that over 2 rounds lasted just over 10 minutes, where each round lasts at the maximum 10 minutes. The entire game lasted that duration. So the Superchargers are heavily the favorite going into this, with a 75% to 25% ratio in our in-house betting bot on the World Doom League Discord. But when I'm talking, what are we going to see from them here on Redshift? Well, we're probably going to see Superchargers run their own setup, as they have in every other week before this, where I fully expect to see Ralphus and Tiger play a more offensive-heavy role. K-Blair will probably be left on an island against whatever Dosu and Friends is able to get past Ralph and Tiger at the midway point of the map. I'm expecting to see Chain Dude run again, maybe. Maybe Dosu will be supporting him. Maybe it'll be the same thing on Dosu and Friends on the other side of the map. Maybe X-Wiz will be left on an island himself. Now, that's a little hard to put into perspective when you haven't seen the map. Now, if you're new here and you haven't seen the map, don't worry. We have something here made just for you.
Welcome to Map 1, Redshift. Redshift is a linear map with blue and green armors and multiple routes in and out of the base. The upper route provides a super shotgun and a vantage point over the enemy flag. The shorter path provides a drop down directly into the flag room. You can throw the switch, grab the flag, and take a teleporter out through the short route. Head back through mid and into your base for a capture. Matches are played in a best-of-3 format, where the team that scores 5 flag captures, or the team with the most flag captures at the end of 10 minutes, is the winner.
And that'll do it for our overview of Map 1 of the World Doom League compilation map pack, Redshift. And it's approaching game time, so we're just going to hop into the broadcast server and I'll be able to give you a live overview of how that map is really structured. And the video does a pretty good job. I am alone today. My co-host K-Blair is playing on the Superchargers team, so... And you have heard Ralph's voice on here before. Earlier today, we had a doubleheader, a game happening at exactly the same time as we were casting the Sexual Panthers and Techno Vikings game. At the same time, Onslaught and Deimos Patriots were playing, and that game actually ended before we were done, so we weren't able to change. We weren't able to shift gears on that one. But fear not, we're going to be catching this game, some might say the game of the week. Now, the playoff picture is as follows. No team is eliminated at all, even if Dosu and Friends does lose this game in 2 rounds. Now, that being said, the Superchargers will cement their playoff berth in a 3-round victory or better. The Doom League does award teams points based on their placement in their weekly games. Now, a 2-round victory is 4 points on the board. A 3-round victory is 3. A tie is 2 points for both teams. And a 3-round loss is 1 point. Now, if you're following the pattern, you may correctly guess that a 2-round loss will yield you 0 points. So it's always in every team's best interest to push it to 3 rounds, at the very minimum. But there's only 5 weeks, and we are at the end of week 3, so we'll have a better idea of the playoff picture as we get into week 4's games. That will probably happen next weekend. But until then, we'll be coasting around the map waiting for teams to finish off their practice runs. Both teams, both Superchargers and Dosu and Friends are practicing heavily in the practice servers right now. To go over different points that this map you might want to look out for as a viewer, and what many players know. The middle point is not exactly a point of contention for someone to sit here and act like a turret. It's more of a pass-through area, choke point, if you will. Oftentimes, you'll see one runner go up top here, while another runner will take up a shorter route up here. So a defender who is situated in a base might have a little trouble taking on 2 opponents at different angles at the same time. Not every runner comes through this middle area here. One little trick, thanks to the Courts of the Doom engine, is you might see players try to grab the armor from this side. You can do that. You can also grab the medkits here, and the blue armor does tend to be sometimes hard for a player to catch because you can get speed down here and fly right over the blue armor, pick up hitbox. So those are just quirks of the Doom engine. We've had players sit inside this door, kind of chilling here while there's a flag standoff happening, and that might be something we see in the event of an extended standoff. 3 rounds is best for the losing team. To clarify some concerns in the chat now, if you've lost round 1, you definitely need to win round 2, but a tie in round 2 will push it to the 3rd round. And that is definitely a good situation to have if you're on the back foot in the match. We don't award points based on flag captures. It is the result at the end of the round that makes the difference. That being said, there are a couple other things to point out. There's one shotgun spawn here, and one shotgun spawn up top here, and one forward shotgun spawn here. So that's 3 single barrel shotgun spawns, while there's only 1 super shotgun spawn on either side of the map. Meaning that if you get blasted in a base, you have to be pretty accurate. The single barrel shotgun in Doom can drop an opponent that has 100 health and 0 armor, but it is pretty rare, and you need the bullets to roll a pretty high damage. But it has happened before. Players who are pretty accurate should have no problem with the shotgun spawns, but you might see them double back sometimes, either into this middle part here, or if you have the upper shotgun spawn, people will definitely run up to this super shotgun here. Other than that, we're just waiting for teams to file in. I'm pretty sure I'm in the right server. One team is finished practicing. The other team, I believe, is waiting to get in the server, maybe. Both teams are practicing, but DAF is leaving their practice server right now, and so we'll be seeing them file in right here. I do not know the exact chance of the single shot kill, but it's pretty low. It's pretty low. Not a whole lot of spawn frags happen on a map like this, despite it being pretty linear. It doesn't do teams much of a favor to sacrifice one of their own to stay behind because the spawns are pretty spread out. You're better off covering your runner or looking for a pickup in the meantime. A couple of members from Dosu's OnlyFans filed in. See Xwiz, Chain, and Dosu. And Stark, who is a reservist and might see playtime this time, but you never know. We have seen the captain of Dosu and Friends, Dosu, also known as Hardy Wayne, bench himself, as he did in week 1. A bit of a surprise move, but I guess you never know. If it's to be believed it may happen again, then what we see on the red team on the scoreboard might be the starting lineup of Dosu and Friends, which would surprise me. And we're a few minutes past game time, but the Chargers are nowhere to be seen, and we're eager to get underway. If there are any other questions about the World Doom League, and feel free to send them my way through the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. At least before the game starts, where my eyeballs will be glued directly to the monitor. Couple links in there. Doomleague.org will lead you to our main website, where the hotbar at the top will lead you all to all sorts of cool things. We have a comprehensive statistic information. Leaderboard that you can sort by season or even by week of a particular season. If you want to deep dive into those stats, the results page will show you the results of every game so far that we've cataloged, with comprehensive breakdowns of how each player has performed so far. You can sort stats by per round, per minute, per 8 minutes, which is the average amount of time a round has lasted in the World Doom League over its duration. And last but not least, the matches page will lead you to where we schedule the games, and those times are translated to your local time. So if you want to catch a broadcast later on, feel free to check it throughout the week. And those times are typically when I'll try to be around to broadcast games that are not my own. We'll see what happens. But no, catch a few per week. And of course our YouTube is the kind of the vault of previous games that we've casted here on the channel. But I do not know how long each team has until they forfeit. Now, before, it was about 15 minutes. And it really, for an extended duration of time waiting, it is up to the captain to decide if they're going to accept a forfeit. Now, the rules now, I might be able to pull that up for you while we wait. We do have the rulebook easily viewable on the main website on the right-hand side, in case anyone's curious about how we structure the league. Let's see here. If they're unable to field 3 players for a match, team must... Oh, that's for a waiver wire. Hold on. Well, a timely appearance is recommended and always appreciated whenever we're talking about a broadcast. That much I know for sure. Approaching 10 minutes past. Hope everyone's doing well this Sunday. Weather's kind of clearing up across the states, at least. Gotta love summertime. Summertime, the time of staying inside under air conditioning and just gaming your heart out. Oh, both teams agreed to a short delay. Thanks for the information from Team Captain Ralphus. I was unaware of a short delay prior to this, so you know, hey, you get to hear me talk my head off for a little bit longer. If you need to get refreshments from our lobby, feel free. It's kind of like that part in the movies where, you know, you get all the advertisements early on. It's like 20 minutes long. It's like that. Let's see. What else can we talk about now? The league standings so far show, well, we're only partway through the week. We don't have the results of everything yet, but so far, Rip and Tear and Onslaught are at the top of the World Doom League leaderboard with 11 and 9 points respectively. Techno Vikings following close behind at 8. Superchargers currently have 7, so if they win in 2 rounds here, they'll be tied for first place with 11 points. So that would do them great favors in getting a high seed as we approach into the last half of the week. Team Captain Ralph of the Superchargers is in the server. We're getting more people in. More spectators are filing in. Be sure to purchase your season pass tickets on doomleague.org/pay me. I'm making this up as I go along. Come on. Gotta give me credit here. We accept donations. But if you are interested in watching the game live, or even playing some Doom free-for-all, the source port we are using, the World Doom League, is powered by Odamex, the online Doom multiplayer experience. Yes, that is what it stands for. Odamex.net. Pretty active development team. Coming up with new stuff all the time. Like, for instance, this large font that shows the spread on the lower right-hand side and the large timer at the bottom is a direct result of feedback from Odamex being used in high-profile events like QuakeCon, which, you know, you never know. You never know. You might see it again. But Odamex is based on an old version of ZDoom, 1.22, where movement, behavior, and general mechanics of ye olde Doom are still pretty faithful. But the Superchargers are finally filing in the server. It will be K, Blair, Ralph, and Tiger. We will now see a debut from Fran, the reservist for the Superchargers. At least not in round 1. A pretty strong lineup from the Chargers. Their optimal lineup, if you will. Hope you guys are excited to see a stellar team at work. And also, I mean, even though Dosu and Friends, they're 0-2. Or rather, they're not 0-2, my bad. They're 0-1-1. Hard to stack them up against a team that is 2-0, but crazy upsets have happened before. You never know. You never know what might happen. That's the excitement of Capture the Flag. There's enough room for players to really turn the tables. Get a team caught out of position, scramble them, and sometimes teams can't recover. It does take about 9 seconds to run a flag end to end. And I guess we'll be getting underway here in a moment. Teams are in. And as far as I'm aware, the team captain of Dosu and Friends, the namesake Dosu, might bench himself. And we'll be getting a call vote here in a moment if the console chat is anything to be believed. And pretty exciting game late Saturday. Wasted potential in Domain. If you want to see how exciting Doom multiplayer can be, it's on our YouTube. But for now, we're going to be focusing in on a round restart. We'll be getting into round 1 of Dosu and Friends and the Superchargers. Starting off watching Chain. Grabbing that blue armor. Blue armor does reduce your incoming damage by 50%. Great for a runner to grab, but you still have a finite amount of health. It did allow him to escape there. And if the coverage is good at mid, it is, but X-Wiz does catch it. It does get returned. Tiger out to mid for the Superchargers with some green armor, some health, and 1 capture. First capture for Tiger. Resets himself with a rocket suicide. Not a bad idea whatsoever. Chain. And was blasted by a Doom guy jumping straight up off the ground. Great shot there. X-Wiz, 5 health. And a dream. That you're on the firing line if you only got 5 health, that's for sure. 15 health. And great move from Chain there. And excellent rebound. An answer from DAF there. Chain's execution of the player pursuing him was a phenomenal work. And allowed his team a little bit extra time to return that flag. 1-1 now. Tiger jumping out to mid and across. It does get returned. Ralph, the back-to-back touch. And he's clearing it. He's away in the blue base. It just needs to drop the carrier, return it, takes a score. Great work from Blair to return the flag. Ralph with a touch while members of DAF were pursuing Tiger. Taking advantage of the opportunity of an empty base. Chain. And yes, while we don't have crouching support in Odomex, modern CTF gameplay is a little bit more lenient. Jumping and free look are allowed. X-Wiz out. And does get to the midway point. It does get picked up by Chain, but does get returned immediately after. Both teams playing pretty hard. Superchargers with a slight advantage only 2 minutes after we started round 1. Tiger slowed down at mid. 5 health. Gets up the steps of the short route, but returned. Moving over to Blair, who also co-casts other streams when he's not playing. Playing a defensive role, but able to push up to mid, which means that there's not a whole lot of pressure keeping the defender back. He does drop back to return the flag. Excellent work there. Ralph with 7 health, blue armor, and all of a sudden the flag gets dropped there. Blair pushes up to grab the flag, and then gets picked up again by Ralph. Ferried the rest of the way. Excellent self-cover there. 3-1 for the Superchargers in round 1. And it's great. The big difference maker was the team being very aware of where the runner was, approximately how much health they had, and was able to chain the pickup all the way to their base. That synergy is key. Ralph with a touch. 30 health won't afford you many opportunities to shoulder a blast from the super shotgun. Tiger is out, and he does get cover from Ralph. And that's 4-1 so far. Superchargers looking pretty dominant. We're not even at the halfway point here. X-Wiz doing his best to clear his side. It's kind of pushing up. It makes you wonder if Dosu and Friends called for an all-offense situation where every player clears the bench in an effort to overwhelm the enemy team. Chain does have the flag in the blue base and does get out. He has 40 health. You can see the carrier, and they meet, but both flags do get returned. Ralph with the next touch. He's getting chased pretty hard. 10 health. He does get dropped. Blair picks it back up, drops it, and a return from his teammate allows him to capture it immediately after the flag gets returned. 5-1 in the first round for the Superchargers. Very dominant performance despite trailing in frags by, well, it's only 4 frags, but the power is pretty equal between the teams. The technique, however, is not. Makes you wonder, is the captain for Dosu and Friends, Hardy Wing, going to step in for any of his team? Or are they going to change something up position-wise? And if anything, it shows that these players are... all these players that play in the World Doom League are pretty apt at moving and shooting and running and gunning. But it really is how well you work with your fellow teammates that decide what is your team going to do and how well are you going to do it. We'll be getting into round 2 of this 3-round series, or best of 3 rather. Starting off with Chain. A couple great kills there as he slugfests his way into the enemy base, but he drops back. And he does catch the carrier, but doesn't catch him quick enough. What a last-second return from X-Wiz. Great job as Blair eventually returns his own flag, but that saves them from an early deficit. Ralph does get across to mid, but no further. Tiger with 25 health, kind of forced into a deathmatch situation there in the base. And Tiger grabs the green armor through the grate there, as we saw a little bit earlier, that you can do. Ralph with 5 health. He has the blue armor, which helped him get that far, but no further. The opening minute has been pretty hot. Moving over to Stark. Player that a lot of people tend to underestimate, but Stark is a league veteran himself. And playing a defensive role against the Superchargers. And being able to hold back members of the Chargers for the rest of his team to come swooping in allows them to take an early lead in round 2. So excellent job from Stark there on base defense. Tiger in and out with a very quick jump up onto that crate, but does get returned. As we saw from the beginning of this round and pretty much all last round, anything can happen. Now, there was no roster change for Dosu and Friends. It is the same exact roster, but there might be a little bit of a positional difference. Tiger, 65 health, doesn't make it to the teleporter. Ralph triggers the teleporter. Defender drops down and he jumps back up. But it does get returned. He doesn't get far enough for his teammates to really pick up the flag and carry it the rest of the way. No luck there for either runner. And yeah, Doom is, it's pretty funny how far you can blast people with the weapons in Doom. They may not make it to the teleporter alive, but they might make it. Tiger barely gets out the short route before getting blasted from both sides. He does defend himself once. While Ralph is out with 2 health. By the time we switch to him, though, he takes another shot and gets dropped. Not too much pressure on the Chargers' flag at the moment. Blair doing a great job of defending there. In fact, Blair with 28 frags, the current round leader for power. And asserting himself as a very solid, formidable defenseman? Defend person? Flag keeper? You name it, Blair does it. Yeah, Chad is also an acceptable term. Blair the Chad. Tiger, 15 health, out top. Not anymore, and X goes down with blue armor at the mouth of the Superchargers base. Defense guy. I like that. I like that term. Chain. 60 health. Tiger can't get out of the base. Both teams playing very well defensively. Not a whole lot kicks past the midway point, that's for sure. Both teams playing very cautious. Chargers know they can't really bleed flags here to ruin their momentum. But they also need... Like, they have momentum going into the round, but they don't have momentum in the round. What are the Chargers going to do to get the flag count back in their favor? Ralph out with 55. Gets the close super shotgun spawn. Effectively covers him pretty well. Tiger now sitting in that teleporter room with green armor. Gets a grazing shot on one defender, but then dropped by the next. Chain out with blue armor. Intercepted. Ralph with 80 health. Going out through top. Does get the coverage he needs and a pickup from Blair, but it gets dropped quickly. Tiger, 5 health. It gets returned at the mouth of the Superchargers base. And their flag, meanwhile, is dropped up top. It could get picked up by a member of DAF. And almost does. It's not a spot you want your flag to sit for very long. Chain. No luck there. Ralph out 45. 55 now. If he gets the coverage he needs, he can be across. It does get returned, however. The fact is, though, they're getting the flags across, and that is half the battle. Well, over half, to be honest. If you're able to burn the defender, get the flag across, you can do it again. Just not that time. Chain with the flag. Gets a little bit of coverage from his team. Trying to use hard cover, but I think he tried to switch to the chain gun there for a second. It could have cost him. Ralph out with 50. And the midpoint for both teams is extremely strong. Not many players getting across. Ralph is covering Tiger pretty well, as now they've evened it up 1-1 with just under 4 minutes left on the clock. Round 2 much more contentious than round 1. Ralph grabs the flag, waiting for an all clear. His teammate opens the door for him. He drops back down to take it up top, but I think the flag is dropped up on that teleporter pad, where it eventually gets returned. Tiger needs that coverage. Chain, low health on the flag pedestal. Does escape K-Blair with 10 health. If his team can cover him and then return the flag, that's a 5 health capture. That's close. It gets dropped as a player from the Chargers comes up right behind him and says, "That flag is now mine." You spend too long in one place, players will find you and they will return their flag. It's almost an inevitability. Chain with low health, but he does have blue armor. If he can restock his health, he'll be good. But just not enough time. Chain opening the door to the teleporter, but it doesn't fool Ralph, who returns it at the midway point. Tiger tries to get across, but then Stark returns it back to the pedestal. 2 minutes left on the clock in round 2. A tie here will force it to round 3, where Dosu and Friends will have to play... Well, they'll have to win round 3 to avoid a loss. And a tie would look pretty good for them as they try to squeak into the playoffs after week 5. Tiger picks up the enemy flag, but it gets dropped. X was surrounded by hostiles. No luck there. One cool thing to note, you see players like Stark, they don't use free look. Instead relying on being able to be very accurate with horizontal aim and letting Doom's built-in auto aim do the vertical adjustment. Ralph out with 25. Just because you can use free look doesn't mean it gives you an inherent advantage. Lots of touches in this round. I'm curious to see how the stacks will pan out after the game. Which you can too. Shortly after the game, they'll be uploaded to the main website, doomleague.org. You can follow your favorite player and catch them next time on week 4. Chain playing the teleport game, going out short, or might double back through mid. He's keeping an eye on what's happening across the map. Gets swarmed by 3 players going right around the corner. And in that time, Ralph runs it away from the DAF base and scores. DF needs to actually score a flag here, like, now. This might be their last attempt to get a touch and then score. There's now not enough time. Superchargers will win in a 2-0. They'll be going home with 4 points, while DAF will be going home with 0. Chain had a good run out of the base, but ran into not only one supercharger, but ran into the carrier and the player escorting him. It was a unfortunate situation for him to be in, but the Chargers took advantage of it. And now the Superchargers will be tied for first with Rip and Tear for 11 points. They'll be tied for first in the current standings. And that'll be the sound of everyone leaving from the server. But, you know, Dosu and Friends, their season is not over. Every team can still make the playoffs. It might be a bit harder. There's still 2 weeks left. Dosu and Friends has an opportunity to win out pretty hard. I think it may require them to win in 2 rounds in weeks 4 and 5, which are much more technical maps. The maps that take place during week 4 and 5 are far less of a slugfest that we have seen so far in, say, weeks 2 and 3. Week 1 was kind of a mixture of both, required both technique and fragging prowess. But for now, we'll be bidding you farewell. Thank you for tuning in this Sunday for the finale to Week 3, Superchargers versus Dosu and Friends. It was been very fun to cast. Thank you very much for hanging out. And you know what? We'll play you out, but bear in mind, next weekend, the festivities will begin again.